Thanks for stopping by. Look, today we're installing Vlad's TC Mod Loom. So this is going to allow us to turn the traction control on and or off in conjunction with the rear diff lock on the NT Pajero that we've got. Look, I was going to do a install video on this start to finish. I thought the section that we needed to get to plug this in was just up behind the vent on the driver's side, below where the hazard lights were. It turns out it's down near the gear shifter, and you need to take literally everything out. I was looking at adding the switches, which I've got here, to the right side of the steering wheel. But once I jumped back on the forum and had a read, it turns out that you've got to pull the whole dash apart. And look, I've already got 3 videos in a series that shows you how to pull the dash apart. So I've just jumped back in, pulled that apart, and I'm going to pick up from where I am. Considering that I have to pull the whole dash apart, I'm going to go with the place where I wanted to put the switches, which is going to be just there. And I hope we've got enough room to work, but they are going to go 2 of them just there like that. So it's going to be a bit tight, because on the other side there is some, I guess, clips that we need to make sure we avoid, so they might be pretty tight, the switches together, but we'll see how we go. Hopefully all the critics today will be happy that I'll be pulling out the soldering iron again. I did manage to go to Jaycar and grab myself a handful of shrink wrap, and we won't be using those Scotch lock type connectors that I used in the caravan so many weeks ago that I copped so much grief over. So we'll be soldering this one up today, guys. Okay, so here's our 2 switches. The top one is going to be the on, so that'll be on for when we are using the rear diff lock and still want the traction control applied to the front wheels, and the one at the bottom is going to be off. So without the rear diff lock on, we will have the ability to turn the traction control off altogether. So supposedly for beach driving or something along those lines, we'll be able to turn that traction control off. We'll still have four-wheel drive, but the traction control won't be applied, which means it won't slow your progress. So if you're doing a hill climb or a dune climb or something along those lines, it's not going to be braking your wheels and slowing you up and interfering like that. So to give you an idea of what we've got here, this is the line that goes to the switches. Again, that top one is going to be for the on, and that bottom one is going to be for the off. Initially what I did was went in and just wired up the spades for the power. Joined them there and then connected them to a separate line. Now this will be the one feed point that's going to go over to a tapper fuse. And I also did the same with the earths, so you can see they're running off there. Put a joint in there and then ran that to a lug. As per Vlad's instructions, you can use one of these bolts as a grounding point, so that will just go on there like that, so that's nice and close. You can keep that wire relatively short. And the loom itself also has a ground wire, which is that one there. So I've joined those both together, and they're on that one lug. I've used all the original length of wire that he provides, which is probably about 30 centimeters. That's going to allow us to be able to plug this in where it needs to go. And then if we have to pull the dash out at a later point, we can pull the dash, and it's not going to pull this out whilst we're working on it, and then it'll give us room to get in behind it and then pull this out. Okay, so here's our tapper fuse here. So we went with this bottom one here, which is wipers. It's a 15 amp fuse, so I figured that I would take a little bit of extra current, and then obviously if this impedes on that in one way or the other, it's not going to be drastic. We're not going to lose any lights or any other major functions that we need. As far over the left as possible. I am going to put another fuse in the back there. It's a 15 amp, and that one didn't fit in quite right. That was the original that was in there, so I'll swap that out for another 15 amp. Same as what was already in that circuit. Now, while you're in here and you've got the glove box out and whatever, do yourself a favour and pull out your aircon filter, the cabin filter. And this is a couple of minute job. I just take mine out and give it a blow out with the air compressor, gives it a clean. There are a few leaves and stuff on there, but for the most part you'll find it's pretty clean. And it just, if I'm getting this the right way up, yeah, I think I got this arse about, so flip it up that way, and she just slides in like that. And there are just 2 screws, one at the top and then one at the bottom left hand corner here. So for an extra couple of minutes on your job, pull out a couple of screws, pull the filter out, and grab a new one if you need to. Once you've given these a blowout, especially if they're dirty, the amount of air and how cool your aircon will be after the job, huge improvement. Well worth doing for the extra couple of minutes. Now that we've got the dash out and we've got the loom here, the good news is we just need to pop that one out here. It's the one on the right hand side, and you are going to see at one end of the loom, this one here is going to be a match for that. So that'll go in there like that, and then this one will go in the back just there. Okay, so quick test of the switches. That one works, that one works, so that's good news. So this one is to turn the traction control on whilst we're using the diff lock. This one is going to turn traction control off altogether. If we go up the dash looking for some sort of confirmation that it's working, you can see that we've got in 4 drive. The center diff is locked. We're just in 4 high. We will flick the bottom one for traction control off. Traction control's gone off, the ASC's gone off, and the ABS is off. So that appears to be working. Turn it off. On again. There we go. So I'll turn that off. I'll put the rear diff lock on. Okay, so we've got that diff lock engaged, and you can see all of the things are off here. So traction control, your ASC, you can see the handbrake on there and ABS. Click that top button. There they go, those lights go out. So you have got some sort of signals that it is actually working. Obviously I can't test it at the moment because I'm just sitting in the driveway, and that's what it looks like with just the diff lock on. So we'll just disengage that diff lock. Again, we're just sitting in neutral. There we go, so the ABS has come back on, the diff lock is off. All of our switches are off. Dropping it out of 4 low. Dropping it out of 4-wheel drive with the center diff lock. So that's all-wheel drive. And just dropping it out there. And there we go. I'm quite happy at this stage that everything is working. Again, this is on, this is off. That was what I was just playing with then. So that's our on, that's our off. So this is going to be the one I'm going to use the most, and we'll give this one a test where we're on the sand or something like that. But I'm really keen when we get away to Bylong on the Wombat holes to try the traction control on with the rear diff lock there as well. It's not a factory look, not by any means, but it's a reasonably clean install. All of those switches are all together, which is where we want them, and pretty happy with that. Now what we're going to do is put all these dash back together again. This is the part I don't like. Okay guys, we are calling that one good. There's our 2 switches in here. I have mounted a new speaker just over to the left there. Obviously you can tilt it, turn it, they get out of the way a little bit. Or, because it is actually mounted on a magnet, it can come off and be moved out of the way. So, pretty handy speaker these, but it's also got a noise filter, which is pretty much just a high cut, cheap version of. And it does have a mute, but obviously you've got the volume. It's our UHF VHF ham radio. I did get around to putting some hot glue on the back of this, so that's not going to move anywhere now. On that good today guys, thanks very much for coming along. Look, it was only a really short one. There was no point showing you how to pull the dash apart and put it all together again when I've already done that video, and it takes quite a while to shoot. I really just wanted to show you what the switches look like fitted in, show you what the wiring of the actual harness was like and where to put it. So if you've got any questions, post them up, but they're probably best directed to Vlad on the Pajero forum. So thanks to Vlad for getting this to me so quickly, very handy, and we'll test it very soon, in about 8 weeks when we're away, and we've got a chance to test out in those Wombat holes there at the Bylong 4-wheel drive park. Thanks guys, we'll catch you on the next one.